Harvey Weinstein, Bob Weinstein, God bless them.
Harvey Weinstein, who believed in us and made this movie.
Harvey and Bob Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein.
Thank you, Harvey Weinstein.
Especially Harvey.
I want to thank Harvey and Bob Weinstein.
Thank Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey, who first took me on 20 years ago.
I would like to thank Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein, who had the guts, the courage, the commitment.
Especially Harvey Weinstein, a man of dedication and vision.
Harvey Weinstein. Well, listen, so...
Harvey and Bob Weinstein, you also break my heart with your uncensored passion.
Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey and Bob. And Harvey and Bob Weinstein.
To you, Harvey.
Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein.
The Harvey Weinstein Company, okay?
Thank you, Harvey Weinstein, for putting your heart behind this film and shining the light on this. We really like to share this with you.
I want to thank the Mashbuka Weinstein.
You are now listening to Extreme Cinema with Andrew Ganke and David Lawler. If you like sex and violence, evil brunettes, and angelic blondes, then stick with us as we debate some of the best and worst of action and exploitation filmmaking.
What's going on, you motherfucker?
First off, I want to say, fuck you, Harvey Weinstein. You have upset our schedule.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Allegations by numerous women who say the Hollywood mogul sexually harassed them. His alleged victims over nearly 3 decades include stars like Ashley Judd and Rose McGowan.
I came of age in the 60s and 70s when all the rules about behavior in workplaces were different. That was the culture then. And now one of the most powerful men in Hollywood says he is taking a leave of absence to, quote, conquer his demons.
We were planning to do like a whole bunch of other things. We were going to start off with Death Wish, but again, that got pushed aside because they decided to push this shit back. And, you know, Andrew got back to me about
bastards.
about 2 months ago. He said, we should strike while the iron's hot. When Death Wish comes out, let's put something out. And I'm like, yes, let's do it. And these assholes. I don't know what happened.
We still have the room. We could do the room for disaster artists. We could still do that.
Well, I did purchase the disaster artist. It should be here in a couple of days.
The book?
Between the book. Between tomorrow and 20th.
You'll love it. It's
like
a great book, and you'll come out of it with a different view of I think of Tommy Wiseau.
Well, we'll see. Yeah. We'll see what happens. Now I got to say that people like Tommy Wiseau and people like Harvey Weinstein share one commonality as far as the annoyance factor for David Lawler. Yours truly. It's just that there was a bunch of us back, I would say 20 years ago, who were very serious about making movies, and what we really wanted to do was make movies, and that's all that mattered to us. And there's always this time-honored story of dirty little men who go around and do terrible things and take advantage of young ladies and exploit them and things like that. Those are the stories you hear all the time. Harvey Weinstein is nothing new, but what bugs me is that there are plenty of us out there who are still serious about what we do and stuff like this. And then another thing that we're going to discuss, this kind of pestilence, this horrible atmosphere of culture domination and exploitation of young people, men and women, in Hollywood that sickens me. The whole thing sickens me.
It sickens me too, and it's one of the reasons why I turned my back on that after being so serious for so many years about wanting to make movies and be involved in that business. It's one of the reasons, dealing with the people and the scum that you needed to deal with. I just didn't want to deal with those people, like especially the lower end people. You know, you get up to Harvey Weinstein, you expect a certain amount of bullshit, but I mean, the lower end people, they all think that they're hot shit too, and they're all gatekeepers for everybody else. And it's like,
that's the thing. It was one thing, at least, that Joe Rogan said. Joe Rogan made some sense out of this. Mm-hmm. He said that, like, the artist, is fulfilled by the work that he does, but people like Weinstein are the money people.
That's right.
So they are those gatekeepers that you just said they were. You have to somehow overcome them or get through them like they're a cyclops in mythology. And it's just too hard. It's too hard because their primary motivation is, the three things. It's like money, power, and sex.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel that Weinstein has an illness. Do you feel he has an illness? Do you think
I don't think he has an illness. I think he's a typical Hollywood powerful man. I think that they're a dime a dozen. I hear the tales of what he's done, and I think it happens every day in Hollywood, and to pretend that it doesn't is foolish. I could see how he doesn't really think he did anything wrong. It's like everybody, is happening in every office in his building. That's how shit is done.
There are no good men in Hollywood, but
you know what?
I was in a conversation.
I thought about this the other day because I was thinking, Cannon, Menahem Golan, and Yoram Globus. Those guys didn't fit in Hollywood at all, and Hollywood fucking hated them. And one of the reasons is because they love movies.
Yes,
that's all they wanted to do was make fucking movies. They didn't care about any of this power struggle bullshit. They didn't care about any of the game. All they wanted to do was make movies, and that rubbed the powerful people in Hollywood the wrong way.
Well, I was in a Facebook conversation with some woman. Who I guess doesn't really understand. She says, I hope lessons are learned from this, right? And I wrote back to her, I said, no, lessons are not going to be learned from this. He's not going into treatment. That's bullshit. He's laying low until the next thing takes over the media news cycle.
Sure he is. It's like a standard pub. You don't even need a publicist to know that you go into rehab when shit gets like this. That's just what you do. Like you go in and then hopefully you come out. The thing is, they have come down on him so hard in so many different ways, and they've taken everything. He's not going to get it back.
Well, I don't know. I think he's going to live a very comfortable life.
He's got plenty of money. He'll be fine. I'm not worried about Harvey Weinstein.
Okay, you remember when we did the Die Hard special for Christmas last year? We talked about what's his name, John McTiernan. Okay, they destroyed him.
Yeah,
because he used a private investigator to dig up information on his producer.
Right.
The man can no longer make movies. He didn't do anything.
Right.
All he did was hire a private investigator.
Right.
And then they got him on taxes or something. And now he can't make another movie ever again, apparently.
Right.
This is the kind of people we go after, publicly. And we look the other way when people like Weinstein do what they do. I find it a double standard. I find it hypocritical.
The difference here is a sign of the times. This is social justice warrior world. There's like this cognitive dissonance that goes on, like where everybody in Hollywood wants to be a social justice warrior, but they also live with this kind of behavior constantly that they assign to other people, not the people who are actually doing it. Like you blame Trump or something, and Trump didn't do this. Harvey Weinstein did this.
Right. Yeah. Hillary called him a what did he call him? She called him like a sex offender.
Sex offender. It was a serial offender or something like that. She called him.
And he hasn't done anything. It's just conflating things. Or things getting bigger.
Yeah.
It's like. Okay, it's like the Mandela effect. I did an episode of On the Odd with Mark Giacomo. We talked about the Mandela effect.
Right.
And in the Mandela effect, it's like misremembering things.
Right.
And I think a lot of that has to do with time and distance. Donald Trump makes a comment. Donald Trump does what he's referring to in the comment. Donald Trump is that person that he's talking about. Donald Trump.
Right.
And then it goes down the line. Maybe 10 years, and then suddenly Donald Trump's.
So it's like a game of hot potato or telephone. What was it? Remember that game?
Yeah, telephone or the grapevine or whatever. Yeah, it's like it's people misremember things, and they're going to continue to.
And it's like that too when you do TV shows. Women be throwing pussy at me on the street like frisbees. Ed, thank you. I appreciate that. Take all the pussy. They be here goes pussy. Here goes pussy for you. Some pussy for you. Pussy. I be saying thank you. I appreciate it. I like all the pussy. Thank you. Too much pussy. Pussy be falling out my pockets and shit. Walking down the street, I say, oh, watch your step. That's mine.
I don't know what they're going to say about Weinstein in 10
Well,
years.
I'm curious. I mean, if Mel Gibson can sort of rehabilitate himself, I mean, I would imagine that Hollywood loves a comeback story. They always have. But in social justice warrior land, when you've crossed that line against the social justice warriors, will you be able to come back? I mean, they're taking it so far that it's hard for them to walk back. Now that they've taken him off of the Academy, they stripped his Academy membership. They're taking his name off movies or off television shows so far. They haven't done any movies yet.
Yes.
That he's produced.
So it's erasing history. We're wagging the dog.
Yeah, it's like taking down statues, because we don't like something that the person in the statue did, even if they didn't really do it, well, they said this one, so get rid of their statue. Even though it's been there for 200 years and nobody even fucking looks at it. I mean, come on.
Well, before this is erased from the Wikipedia.
Yeah.
12 years ago, the first signs of hearing weird things about Weinstein started with Courtney Love, of all people, in 2005. She advised young actresses, if Harvey Weinstein invites you to a private party at the Four Seasons, don't go. She actually said that.
Must have been hard up, dude. God damn.
Even before that, in 1998, Gwyneth Paltrow said on the David Letterman show that Weinstein will coerce you to do a thing or two.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that interview.
So people, people were talking about this and just ha 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 ha. Oh, they're joking about. Oh, they're busting Harvey's balls, right? Right. Everybody's quiet and they're like, what?
I mean, these things are a common occurrence among a lot of these guys in Hollywood, but Harvey did get mentioned like that a few times. Maybe I don't know. That's an interesting thought. Maybe he was way more over the top, and that's why people were mentioning it.
Now, according to the New York District Attorney, they say they're not going forward with any case against Harvey Weinstein, even based on this actual tape that they have. They have this tape, which I'm probably going to play right now.
I'm telling you right now.
What do we have to do here?
Nothing. I'm going to take a shower. You sit there and have a drink. Water.
I don't drink.
Then
Can
have a
I
glass of
stay
water.
on the bar?
No, you must come here now.
No.
Please.
No, I don't want to.
I'm not doing anything with you. I'm
I
now
know.
you're embarrassing me.
I'm sorry, I
No,
cannot.
come in
No,
here.
yesterday was a kind of aggressive for me.
I know.
I need to know a person to
I
be
won't
touched.
do a thing.
I don't want
Do a thing, please. I swear I won't. Just sit with me. Don't embarrass me in the hotel. I'm here all the time.
I
Sit
know,
with me.
but I don't
promise.
want to.
Please sit there. Please. 1 minute.
No,
I
I
ask
can't.
you. Go to the bathroom.
Please, I don't want to do something I don't want
Go
to.
to the bathroom. Come here. Listen to me.
I want to go downstairs.
I'm not going to do anything. You'll never see me again after this. Okay? That's it. If you embarrass me in this hotel,
I'm not
I'll stay.
embarrassing you. It's just that I don't feel comfortable.
I mean, don't have a fight with me in the
It's not
hall.
nice.
Please, I'm not going to do anything. I swear, my children. Please come in. On everything. I'm a famous guy.
I'm feeling very uncomfortable right
Please
now.
come in now. And 1 minute. And if you want to leave, when the guy comes with my
Why
jacket, you can go.
yesterday you touched my breast?
Oh, please, I'm sorry. Just come on. I'm used to that. Come on.
Are you used to that?
Yes, come in. Because
No, but I'm not used to
I
that.
won't do it again. Come on. Sit here.
She had a tape. She was obviously wired and ready to go and recorded him doing this because I guess maybe there were fears. I want to know why the New York District Attorney doesn't want to pursue a case against Weinstein, but we're putting Bill Cosby to trial with a lot of accusations and no real proof to back it up. That's if we're going after Cosby, we should go after Weinstein. Is my point. They have a tape, for God's sake. A tape.
Yeah, they have a tape. I have to tell you.
And the U.S. tabloids at the time
just because there's
called
a tape
her.
doesn't mean that there's anything prosecutable on it. And I don't think that there's anything in there that where he committed a crime.
Well, I think there's a little bit more there than what they have against Bill Cosby, is all I'm saying.
Well, maybe. I mean, I'm no
They're
expert on the
pursuing
Bill Cosby
Cosby
case
like
either. But I
crazy.
mean, Bill Cosby, he was accused by so
As much as you say that Hollywood enjoys a comeback story, they also enjoy destroying.
Oh
people
yeah, and
who
they
have
love to tear them
reputations.
down and then bring them back. They love that, and they have that power over you. That's one of the reasons why they love damaged people with all kinds of problems, because they can always tear the rug out from under you whenever they want. So that gives them power over you. But they also do love a comeback story.
They damaged women is. That's California. I mean, California is loaded with them. There's so many of them that come from the Midwest or back east. They go to California. They want to become actresses. And in the 90s, this is particularly reprehensible to me because in the 90s, everyone wanted to be an actor or an actress, right? And they were all going out to California. They were going to make their way. And so far, most people that I have known and worked with have not been able to have careers out in California. And a lot of it was due to the fact that these people in these studio situations, these executives and people like that, and producers too, also, fuck with them. They completely fuck with them. They dash their hopes. They build them up and then dash their hopes. And that's what they do.
I mean, that's the way of the business, and it just saps the life out of you. That's why I gave up on it. I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't want to do it anymore. And I was like, I came to a point where I said, you know what? It's a lot of work to get into this club with a bunch of people that I can't fucking stand. And it's like, you know, and I don't want to be in their club.
Well, let's not start sucking each other's dicks quite yet.
I have oh God, this list. I have a list now of all the women.
Yeah.
Who said that they had been sexually harassed or assaulted by Weinstein.
Right.
And we're gonna go through the names.
Okay.
And you're gonna recognize a lot of them.
Okay.
And you're not going to recognize a few of them. I'm not. I don't recognize a few of these people, but we do know a few of them. The first one on the list is Lizette Anthony, who's very beautiful. You've seen her.
She sounds familiar. Her name.
She was in Krull a long time ago with Ken Marshall.
Krull. That was like the late 1870s.
You remember that?
Yeah, I saw that in the theater in 1983.
She was also in
she's 140 years old.
Because she got a great ass. And you got your head all the way up it.
Oh, thank God, some humor. Well, she was also in like a bunch of like sexy movies, like Skinamax type movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
She was on an episode of Tales from the Crypt. Very beautiful,
Naked,
actually. Very beautiful
and
woman.
creaky.
Okay, and then we have Angelina Jolie.
Right.
These are okay. All these women are the ones who came out and said it. Okay. And I'll have a point to make after this list is done. Angelina Jolie, we obviously know she's married to Brad Pitt, blah, blah, blah.
Did you hear that fake
the Sony emails, they're not very flattering.
Fake ass story. Like his publicist made up some story. Yeah, he went up and he confronted Weinstein. He told him he'd give him a Missouri whooping. Yeah, come on, man.
Missouri
Get
whooping.
the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I don't buy that either. Actors aren't really known for their social
Yeah, I'm
courage.
sure. Brad Pitt is really a tough guy. That's gonna.
The next girl on the list is a girl that you and I both adore.
Yeah.
That we love.
Johnny Smith.
No, I wasn't going to say that. I was going to say Asia Argento.
Oh yeah, she was hot.
She was. We both had a crush on her back in the day when she was in her father Dario Argento's movies. This is now she says that Weinstein like forcibly to put it in not too delicate a term, he basically forcibly ate her out. And
how does that happen?
I know I was talking to Bronwyn about that, and I was we were kind of practicing. No. Yes, we were. Basically, I mean, like, I don't know if he's kind of a hulking guy. She's smallish. So, I mean, I don't quite know. I mean, she produced a video.
Sciacchiami le palle, che ci vuole? Non ti sto mica chiedendo la room.
Andiamo.
Ho capito, d'accordo. Senti, allora, non mi succhiare le palle, però fammi assaggiare la tua torta di peli.
Smettila,
Andiamo,
Barry, no!
fammela assaggiare. Te la mangi
Non sei divertente, chiaro?
No, è divertente.
Adesso basta.
Dai, non ti agitare. Facciamo solo. Dai,
Barry,
stai buona, su, che ci divertiamo. Dai, che ti costa, fai la brava. Voglio solo. Ehi, aspetta, no. Torna qui, sei il mio frutto preferito, la mia nespola, la mia visciola. Torna qui, Gioia, vieni dal tuo orsacchiotto.
Complimenti per il premio, eh?
I really hate talking about this. It's fucking terrible. Okay, the next one on the list, Ashley Judd. We know she's really, she really annoyed the shit out of me during the whole pussy parade thing.
Oh, yeah.
The pussy hat parade. I forget what it was. But it's consistently within character. And, she had actually said something about this years before, and no one listened to her.
And she was
no
hot
one listened
back
to her.
then, so it's believable.
Yeah, lovely woman back then. Yeah, I can tell that she's trying to become significant again and wants a career again because she hasn't had any decent work in years. Next up is Rosanna Arquette. You know, I can definitely see that too.
Yeah, but like Rosanna Arquette,
I'm not even rating these women on
like
their
a
attractiveness.
known groupie. Like she fucked anybody.
I had not heard that. I had not actually heard that, but but if you say
that's
so.
how she got famous.
All I know about Rosanna Arquette, she had a famous dad.
She like
you know, she
banged
was in early
everyone.
movies.
Like Harvey Weinstein was too much of a problem for her. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Maybe Harvey was like, "Hey, Rosanna, I hear you're quite friendly. Why don't you come over here?
Yeah, I hear that.
And watch me masturbate."
I mean, banged 18 people yesterday. Let's make it 19.
Would it be wrong of me to say that if I were some kind of a deviant, if I were some kind of a sexual deviant, number one on my list of priorities would not be, I want you to watch me masturbate. That's a bit much. I think people who masturbate in public or in front of other people, there's something wrong with them.
I don't know.
We have a common friend, a common ex-friend. He's not a friend anymore.
Was he trying to masturbate in front of you?
Yeah, he did. Actually.
He did. No shit.
He whipped it out while watching Charles in Charge.
Well, watching
because of
that.
Nicole Eggert. He said, I can't take it, and he whipped it out and started jerking off while watching Charles in Charge.
Damn.
I mean,
what's that kid's name who plays his best friend? I was just about to say it, but I can't.
It wasn't
think of
Willie
his name.
Ames. He wasn't jerking it to Willie.
Ames. That Willie Ames, man. Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Oh, I can't handle it, man. Willie Ames. That perm is just so fucking hot.
Wait till they get a load of me.
All right, let's move through the list. There's a couple of names here I didn't recognize. Elizabeth Carlson, who's a film producer, Jessica Barth, who's an actress, Catherine Kendall is an actress, Zoe Brock is a model, Mia Kirshner, I know that name. She was in a
hot.
movie.
She was in that Adam McGoyan's crap, that Exotica.
Yeah, Exotica.
Shit. But she was hot on the cover.
Yeah. Was that a Miramax movie?
It was.
Okay. Liza Campbell, never heard of her. Mylene Klass, never heard of her. Emma DeCon, never heard of her. Laura Madden, a Weinstein employee, Laura Madden, who worked for Weinstein, apparently. Florence Darrell, Sarah Ann Massey, actress, comedian, and writer. I think I've heard of her. Carla Devigne, never heard of her. Rose McGowan, we know.
Yeah. She's been very vocal.
She said she wasn't getting any more work. And she said the reason she wasn't getting any more work was because she blew the whistle on Weinstein. Okay, Sophie Dix, never heard of her. Emily Nestor, another Weinstein employee. Dawn Dunning, never heard of. And a lot of these people do not have Wikipedia listings, so it tells me that they didn't play ball, so they're not famous.
And nobodies.
Yes. And of course we have Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah. You don't talk about these things. Just like
That's-
you don't
that's
talk
what
about
we-
the pedophiles.
Yeah.
You don't talk about any of that stuff.
We're
You
going
get
to
in
talk
trouble.
about an open secret on this show. It's a topic that we brought up before on Extreme Cinema, but I've had to cut it out because it wasn't really relevant to the conversation. But we are going to talk about an open secret, and part of that whole thinking is you do not get anybody into trouble. That somehow this is an accepted form of transaction, if you will.
Right.
And communication in Hollywood. So therefore, if you talk about it, you're not going to have a career because it's illegal.
That's it, like my first thought on the Harvey Weinstein thing is like kind of like, a lot of this behavior, most of this behavior, there is some of it that's like over the top, like just there's no excuse for it, but a lot of this behavior is just like typical fucking scumbag Hollywood crap. And my first thought is, at least he's not doing it to kids. He's doing it to adults, who can say no.
The problem,
Yeah,
but the big problem with the whole this is accepted in Hollywood is that if it's accepted there, then everything is accepted there.
That's true. But everything is accepted there. That's kind of the point.
But the thing is, this is a place where business is conducted, right?
Right.
If stuff like this was going on at my wife's job, it would be scandalous. It would destroy them. If this was happening at your wife's job, it would destroy them. Apparently this is the only place where this can happen, and it's just business as usual.
Well, yeah, that's Hollywood, dude.
It's a place of work. There's a certain professional decorum that should always be, between people in relate. I mean, the thing I know about, I've worked with actresses my whole life. Okay, actresses are insanely flirty. I mean, they are. I've been hit on more times than I can count by actresses. I've never gone to them. I've always been married when I was making films. Actresses are just normally flirty. It's just the way they are. And actors too. I've been hit on by guys. I mean, it's just like they don't care, and they don't care if my wife's in the room. They just flirt. I'm like, I'm trying to make a movie here. I was never in a situation where like, get your fucking hands off me.
Yeah.
I wasn't like that. They weren't grabbing my genitals or trying to masturbate. But I mean, like,
just watch that.
actors tend to have their own particular way of flirting or communicating with people. I mean, like, but it's just how they communicate. They're just like that. They're very touchy-feely and everything, right?
Right.
And this is one question that has not been answered, to at least to my satisfaction, is what about the ones who aren't complaining? What about the ones who think this is completely normal? Like, I'm going to bring up Jennifer Lawrence. I think this is weird. Her behavior was very weird. She was sitting on Harvey's lap at these awards functions. They had very flirty dialogue between them. She's extremely young, and she seems to have gotten a lot of popularity and a lot of work.
Really quickly, yes.
Yes, and it's a very creepy thing. And Ben Affleck also comes to mind too, with his weirdness and his crazy flirty drunken behavior and shit like that. It just doesn't. It's creepy.
It is. Well, that's another problem with this, is that it throws a taint over all kinds of people where you don't know. Like, all of a sudden you're thinking about, gee, who did this actress sleep with to get this role? Yeah, I know.
Like, I always say that about Jennifer Lopez. Every time I see her in a movie, I was like, who did she fuck to get this career? I mean, I don't understand. The woman can't act for shit. I mean, it's just like, and there's so many other people that have very little talent. You're just like, what?
Yeah, sometimes you wonder. You really do.
Okay, very quickly. Alice Evans, never heard of her. Zelda Perkins, another Weinstein employee. Lucia Evans, formerly Lucia Stoller. Sarah Pauly, who we discussed before the show began.
Right.
We do know about her.
She wrote a piece for the New York Times today detailing what had occurred between her and Weinstein, and it was an interesting thing. Nothing earth-shattering about it.
She received an Oscar for a script she wrote and directed.
She did? What was it, short or something?
No, it was a feature-length film. Let me dig it up here. Away from Her. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. She wrote and directed a movie called Away from Her in 2006, and she was nominated for an Oscar. And Julie Christie was in it and was nominated for Best Actress for the film.
Cool.
Okay, so moving on, we have Angie Everhart, who we talked about in our season finale.
That's right.
She was in Jade.
Yeah, she was hot.
I had just arrived from America. I had jet lag. I was in the bed sleeping when I woke up to him above me.
So he literally walked in a bedroom as you were sleeping and did this?
He came in actually with another girl, and she left, and he stayed. So, they both stood up there. They both stood there, and I was like, I couldn't get out of bed because I was wearing just a little T-shirt and nothing else. So I was stuck, and they were in front of the bed. It was just terrible. It was a terrible moment. And, I told my husband about this when I first met him. And when all of this came out, he was like, you have to come out. You have to tell people this. And I'm just glad that this is, because when I talked about it before, nobody listened. And now people are listening. And not just for me. I'm glad that people are listening so that it doesn't happen anymore, because it's not okay. And they say it's hearsay, it's my word against your word, but this kind of behavior is not okay.
And then we have Tommy Ann Roberts, who is a professor of psychology. I don't
Doesn't
understand.
sound hot. But anyway.
Claire Forlani, who was in Meet Joe Black and Mallrats, and then sort of kind of disappeared and went into television.
Huh.
Lisa Rose, another Miramax employee. Romulo Garay, Erica Rosenbaum, Louisette Geis, Melissa Sagemiller, Louise Godbold, Lea Seydoux, I've never heard of. Judith Godress, I've heard of. Lauren Savan, who was the one initially who had tried to write a piece, and the New York Times buried it. Mm-hmm. This was a few years ago. She tried to get a piece published about this. And I believe she also had some kind of evidence, but they buried it. They didn't want her to.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Have you heard the rumor that that Weinstein was looking to oust Bob Iger at Disney? And this entire thing, which really reeks of a strike of some kind, like a even though it doesn't,
it definitely does.
True,
you brought up
it's true, but it's a smear job. I mean, it's like this is like a coordinated attack on him. And like
I was listening to one thing, and you said it also. You said something that Bob Weinstein might have had something to do with this too.
But now Bob, that was the first rumor that I heard. But now I've heard this thing about Bob Iger.
If somebody has dirt on you and you're trying to do something and you want to stop them, you put that out there.
Right.
And then it ruins that person's credibility. He's not going to be able to do whatever he wanted to do.
Right. But then this is going off. This has the potential, and it's reverberating all over the place. Like it has the potential to be an atomic bomb on Hollywood. Like this could change Hollywood.
Oh, it really does. Yeah, definitely.
And whoever planned this little hit job, I don't know that they realized like exactly what kind of fire they were playing with.
Now, I do know that ABC, which is owned by Disney, has been the most vicious of the attacks on Weinstein have been coming from ABC.
Really? Okay.
And I believe it's because Disney had owned Miramax for a time before Harvey bought it back.
Right.
So this might be personal in that way too.
Right.
I'm sure. The thing. This is another disturbing element to the story is that nobody's really kicked his ass or anything.
Yeah.
Nobody said anything. Nobody. I mean, like, okay, I have a daughter. If my daughter was molested by Harvey Weinstein, there's nothing on this planet that's going to stop me from kicking his ass.
Right.
Doing everything I can to destroy him. But we're seeing like nobody wants to touch this. Well, they're all backing away. That's because they knew.
Yeah, and he wasn't.
It has
he wasn't
to be because they
molesting
knew.
kids. I mean, he was going after grown women.
Oh well, everybody is somebody's daughter. Everybody's
That's
somebody's
true,
son.
but they're grown women. It's not like these guys. It's not like.
I mean, what if it's your two boys? I mean, obviously, and they're grown up. To say they're 20, they're 25.
Yeah, I don't like it.
You're gonna fucking kick their ass? Are you fucking kidding me? Of course. They're still your babies.
Yeah, I don't like it, but they are grown men at that point.
No, I'm not gonna do that because I'm not gonna say, well, she's responsible for her own action. I don't know about that. I'm gonna kill. I got knives. I got hammers. I don't care about my life. Put me in jail. Put me, whatever.
All right.
This is a sleazy motherfucker. He's a sleazy motherfucker. He needs to be put down.
Well, that's why you got to teach your kids and prepare them to handle themselves in situations like that.
Of course, yeah. As they were telling the story of Mr. Weinstein, I had Regan there, and I said, Regan, don't ever go into a strange room with somebody you don't trust. And she's like, she looks at me and goes, duh. So, okay, finishing up the list, we have Heather Graham, who we both know. She was in Boogie Nights, of course. Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. Very beautiful woman, actually. Chelsea Skidmore, I never heard of her. Amber Gutierrez, who we mentioned earlier. Right. Mira Sorvino. I mean, like, Mira Sorvino. I mean, I wish.
Paulie's daughter.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I was thinking because a friend posted something and said, I wish Mira Sorvino's father was actually Paulie from Goodfellas because he would probably break this guy's legs. Somebody named Tara Subkoff, who I've never heard of, and Jessica Hines. Now, Lizette Anthony, Asia Argento, Lucia Evans, and Rose McGowan, and an unnamed woman have accused Weinstein directly of rape.
Right.
So there is rape involved, so. It isn't just, hey, I want to watch you shower. Hey.
Little note to the social justice warrior type, third wave feminists out there. It would be easier to actually call things that are rape if you would stop changing the definition. Because I don't know what that means sometimes. Like, I don't know what you're talking about when you accuse somebody of rape because, like, you call everything rape.
Yes. So, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and believe that it's actually rape.
Yeah, okay.
Because they're saying rape.
I'm with that too.
They're saying rape in addition to sexual harassment and assault. Now, sexual assault can be anything. Sexual harassment can be anything. But rape, when it's in that context and defined by those terms, it sounds like it's actually rape.
Yeah, I mean, and it's I say investigate it. But I these days they've really gone way over the edge, redefining rape to mean whatever the heck anybody feels like it means on any given moment. And I think that's a very dangerous thing that they do, and they shouldn't play with it. Play with definitions like that. That's all I'm saying. Because, you know, if he's masturbating in a potted plant, that's.
That image will never be creepy and funny at the same time.
I know, but like, you know, that isn't rape. That's just I don't know what that is.
That's just boy.
That's just like a face palm, like a double face palm. I don't know what that is.
It's Attack of the Masturbating Zombies. It's an old sketch from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
All right, now an open secret was this documentary that was made in it was finished released in 2014, 2015. It's basically, I mean, it's like, okay, I was really shocked. You were the one who told me about this documentary, and then I started spreading a message around after I saw it. It seems it's basically this story of child molestation that occurs. The Wikipedia description has it as the documentary follows the stories of 5 former child actors whose lives were turned upside down by multiple predators, including convicted sex offender Mark Collins Rector, who co-owned and operated the now infamous digital entertainment network, also known as Den, which was back in like the late 90s, before we had the ability to stream.
We saw that they owned a company together called Den, which again, on the surface, it seems kind of logical that a child actor would grow up and become, use their money that they had made as a child perhaps and open an internet company. When we started to realize what this really was, it became a much bigger deal.
In the 80s, it was MTV that captured the attention of young people all over the world. However, now that youngsters are turning to the internet, a company called Digital Entertainment Network thinks they've got a chance of becoming the next big thing. They've created television-like programming exclusively for the web.
What makes Den different than other internet companies that have come before it? It's a fusion of the marketing power of Madison Avenue with the technology of Silicon Valley and the entertainment of Hollywood.
They were aiming their programming primarily for young people. So it was a whole new concept.
The majority of young people today are not finding themselves reflected in television. We're creating content that specifically targets your needs, your wants, your desires.
Mark Collins Rector, somehow on one of the early chat lines, which were a little more than hookup places, he came across Chad Shackley, who at the time was a 15-year-old kid, and Collins Rector was much older than that. Mark Collins Rector moves to be close to Chad Shackley, and then they start, for lack of a better word, dating. Eventually, Chad moves in with Mark Collins Rector.
Chad and I had to jointly develop Concentric Network Corporation, which was one of the very first internet service providers.
And then they brought in Brock Pierce. Now, how Brock Pierce eventually landed there is anybody's guess.
A friend of ours introduced us to Brock Pierce. And Brock, at the time, was producing his first independent feature. He'd been an actor for many years. And together, the three of us completed what was eventually to become Den.
Now, I mean, like, it's actually kind of the Den network is
Nickelodeon. It's every show produced by Dan Schneider. And it's Nickelodeon, it's Disney Channel. Every live action show on Disney and Nickelodeon is pedophile porn.
Well, it is, yeah. That's right. But also, I mean, like, I feel really uncomfortable about this shit sometimes because my back when my daughter was like a toddler and she watched like did she watch Nickelodeon? I don't know. She watched the Disney Channel. I know she watched that, and she watched I don't know, Discovery or something, some kind of family, ABC Family Network and things like that. And some of these young ladies are just ridiculously hot. And it made me really uncomfortable because I know they had to be 15, 16, 17 or something like that. And I was just like thinking in the back of my head, I had a little, we all have a little Harvey Weinstein chip in the back of our head that goes, you just wait until you're 20. I'm going to grab those. I'm going to do all that stuff, But, hey. She stopped watching, thankfully, for the rest of us. You won't be reading about this in the paper tomorrow.
That's good. I try and keep Jack away from that garbage. God damn it, that stuff is just fucking toxic. All that crap.
It's weird. There's this insane jailbaity thing going on, and it is part of Hollywood too. This is also part of Hollywood, but an open secret is a different matter.
Part of Hollywood.
But what I was trying to say about the Digital Entertainment Network was it was a forerunner. It was basically a predecessor to a lot of what we're seeing now, which is streaming content.
Yeah.
They got in on this a little too early before we had broadband.
It wasn't there yet. There wasn't enough. Yeah, broadband wasn't prevalent, and you had to wait too long for stuff to stream.
Yeah.
So
and think about this. Think about this idea. What if it had only been 10 years into the future? Den would probably never have gone under investigation, wouldn't have been shut down. It would have been an enormous powerhouse in internet entertainment. It could have been a YouTube. It could have been a huge thing.
Yeah, but it was all geared towards homosexual pedophiles.
Well, nobody knew. Nobody knew that.
Well,
that was
yeah,
the
but
thing.
did you watch any of the videos? I mean, like
I have actually. I downloaded before it was taken down again because people keep taking it down. It's weird.
Yeah.
But there's a show called Chad's World that they produced, which is not really good at all. It's terrible. It's actually a really bad show. It's about this kid who moves in with his gay brother and his lover, right? And it's meant to kind of, I guess, introduce the doctrine of homosexuality into a suburban lifestyle situation,
Right.
or something along those lines. But it does have a very creepy vibe to it. It's very much, it has depictions in there where the heterosexual people are monsters and the good people are homosexual, which is weird. It's a kind of a programming or an indoctrination.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. But the thing is about Den, because their content was for kids, preteens, teens, and people like that, they hired a lot of young men, mainly young men. I maybe I saw one or two females in that grouping, but this is not meant to be like an attack on homosexuality. It's more an attack on perhaps the pervasive ideas and attitudes that have come out recently, like talking about Milo Yiannopoulos saying it's okay to be molested by somebody if you're gay or something. I don't quite know what he said, but whatever it was really inappropriate.
He was saying basically, it's hard to explain, but he was talking about his first time as he was sort of introduced by an older man into sex.
Yeah.
And this is a common thing amongst gay men, that their first time is with somebody older that generally is taking advantage of them. It may not be like literal statutory rape, but when the 25-year-old is messing around with the 17-year-old, it might be technically legal in some states, but it's still kind of a little suspect.
Yeah, it is.
And then they get older from there, and they become. It just becomes a thing. That's really what he was talking about. I listened to what he said. He didn't say anything any different than stuff that what's his name? The guy from Sulu. Yeah, George Takei said the same things. A little bit
he did, but the difference is George Takei is a Democrat.
Yeah, so he's allowed to do that stuff.
So Milo lost his book deal because of that, and I can't really call foul on that because
with Milo, I think Milo is I like him sometimes, but I think he's a self-promoting.
He's kind of like in it to shock people, and also he wants to be that elephant in the room that nobody talks about, which is the gay conservative. He wants to be that, and he dines on it, and he's got this unusual attitude. But I do really think that a lot of what he said in that was inappropriate, because your majority of pedophilia cases, your majority of child molestation is usually same sex. I find that strange. It's a very strange little stat, but it is real.
The internet changed everything for us. We were quite surprised to find our own children's pictures were being sold on eBay. Just their regular headshots, not anything salacious, not even anything erotic. Our kids were not famous at all. They were working, but they were certainly not where anyone would care that their headshots were being sold on eBay. And yet it became clear that they were, and they were being sold for a lot of money. And you wonder, who wants my kid's picture for $300? Especially a printed picture that we'd send you for free. We started the process of investigating. We started to put together a matrix of the photographers and the sellers and who was doing what. We were very disturbed to find that they were really close to us, really, really close.
Now, An Open Secret is about this, and also about a lot of the charges that were made against the industry even before this even before the Digital Entertainment Network, like Corey Feldman.
Right.
Talk about Corey Feldman. He had made similar allegations years ago. Barbara Walters accused him of trying to destroy Hollywood. I mean, like, that's such a strange
let's
thing to say to
investigate
somebody.
her, because what the hell? Who the hell is she protecting? Like, what skeletons are in her closet that she needs to protect a bunch of fucking pedophiles?
It's a very strange thing to say to a kid who says that.
Yeah.
He had been saying that for years too. And back when he was saying it, people were like, "Oh, well, you know, there's a few bad apples out there," and they didn't take him seriously, because unfortunately, it's kind of hard to take Corey Feldman seriously.
Well, it is, and it took me a while to take him seriously because he's such an unlikable little guy, like he really is. But when it comes to that, he seems to be pretty well.
He's an artist, man.
Huh?
He's an artist.
He's an artist.
He's an artist.
He's like seriously excels at the art of being annoying. He's like the Picasso.
We went back and began to try to do some sort of reporting to try to determine how widespread this problem is.
Marty was very well known in the community. He had friends who were buying and selling pictures on eBay. We started to realize that some of the sellers were convicted sex offenders. We knew that he was somehow involved with another convicted sex offender, Bob Villard, who was selling pictures on eBay. Bob Villard was a very prominent publicist in the 1980s in Hollywood.
I knew Bob Villard casually as someone who was in the industry, and he did do publicity sometimes for clients that I had.
He handled big names like Tobey Maguire and Leonardo DiCaprio. He was very well known as a publicist. Bob Villard was also a photographer.
So I meet Bob Villard as a publicist who can, who's a good photographer, bring exposure and whatnot, I believe through Michael Hara.
He was one of our biggest eBay sellers. It became obvious to us that Bob Villard was selling candid photos that he had taken.
You're there for a weekend, and he feels just comfortable enough to try to touch you when you drank a few beers, or it's always good to get that few beers, and he tries to touch me.
We always knew his photo style because he typically had the kids shirtless, typically took an angle that was from the top down, so that the children are looking up at the camera as they would be looking up at the predator in an abuse situation. Bob Villard was a manager, he was a publicist, he was connected.
I can tell you that the #1 problem in Hollywood was and is and always will be pedophilia. There was a circle of older men, and they all had either their own power or connections to great power that surrounded themselves around this group of kids.
And it's widespread?
Oh yeah. I was surrounded by them. They were everywhere like vultures.
But you know, I mean, we follow these cases, but there's also some stuff in there that they don't talk about. What I wanted to know after I saw the movie, what happened to? I want to know what happened to Leonardo DiCaprio and Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
Something weird happened to them, and they're not telling anybody.
That's true.
DiCaprio and Maguire's agent is mentioned several times in this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Their former agent, okay, but this is back when they were child actors.
Yeah.
This agent got them a lot of gigs, yes, but he also took a lot of photos of them and started selling them to people, and that's where the investigation started. They hired private detectives. They wanted to track down where these photos of the kids were going to, and they were going to strange places. These groups of I guess men who like to look at young men, or little boys or something like that. And DiCaprio never had anything to say about it.
Yeah,
he never did, and neither did Tobey Maguire. It's my belief that they were molested.
That's my.
I believe
my gut
that they
says
were
that
molested
too, and I'm very curious to know what happened there as well.
It's possible that the people who were involved in this are still working in Hollywood.
Well,
today.
there's almost no doubt about that unless they're dead.
And there's an interview with the guy who ran the child actors division of SAG, And he turned out to be a predator as well. And what's more, he was speaking in a very coded language when he's...
Was that not shocking? The guy from SAG who's supposed to be protecting people from this stuff is a fucking goddamn predator himself?
Yes. And he speaks in very coded terms.
Hollywood doesn't have any system in place to protect anybody. And children are way down on that list, I can assure you.
In a Screen Actors Guild meeting, we were all serving on the Young Performers Committee at the time, which is a national committee at the Screen Actors Guild. And another parent brought a news article from the LA Times that described Bob Villard's arrest and the fact that the LA Police Department was looking for additional victims for Villard. And said, I request that SAG look into the idea of distributing this article or putting out an alert or something to their members, that it seems like something that's a safety-related thing that maybe we should let everyone know. And Michael Hara had a very odd reaction that day. He vehemently opposed SAG getting involved. Hara did not feel that SAG should be stepping forward, even in the wake of the LA Police Department asking for more victims. So the SAG did not step forward and send that news out that day.
Well, I don't know that we've hidden them. I would think you would want to not hide it, but you would want to protect the child whose identity is going to come out the more you play it out. A situation like this never helps anybody. And yes, the sooner we can get it under control, the better. But the less the child has to live with the stigma of it having happened, I think it's better for them, not only career-wise, but personally.
It's why people don't report, because they know that even if they are believed, they're afraid that something will happen to their kid's career.
He's sending a message to other kids as he's being interviewed. He's saying, he says, the way he phrases it is he says these children will not have careers if they reveal what has happened to them. That's what he's saying.
Right.
And he's being interviewed for basically for a documentary about this.
Yeah.
And he's sending this message. He's saying, shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm. Or
you're not going to be able to work, and you're going to get a lot of people into trouble.
Yeah.
Ugh,
I wanted to
so
kill
slimy.
that guy.
The guy is so fucking slimy. I mean, like, it's just... And I don't... And there's another thing, too. This movie came and went. It came, and then it disappeared.
Yeah, and those people will never work again.
Well, the thing about it is the producers of the movie issued a press release saying that the reason this movie isn't being seen is because the director refuses to promote it.
Right.
In movie making, often a director might gripe about his or her film not having been sufficiently promoted in the press by the studio or distributor. But it's the opposite scenario in the case of controversial documentary and Open Secret, which chronicles allegations of child sex abuse in Hollywood. Producer Gabe Hoffman has claimed in a statement to Deadline that the film's director, Oscar nominee Amy Berg, has so far declined numerous opportunities to promote An Open Secret, which were relayed to her, including many from prominent national media outlets. So they're basically saying she's refusing to promote the movie.
Wow.
And I think that could be because somebody said, you know what? You want to have a career here?
Yeah.
You know? First off, go suck that guy's dick.
Yeah.
And second, don't promote this movie.
You need to spend the night watching Harvey masturbate, and then don't promote this movie.
I gotta say, Christina, this stand-up comic Christina P said the funniest fucking thing on Joe Rogan's show.
Yeah.
You know, Hollywood is such a labyrinth in terms of like getting shit done and getting deals closed, and how this happen. It would kind of be nice to be like, you want a Netflix special? Just go fucking suck that guy's dick. And then I could be like, oh, that's all I have to do is suck that guy's? Yeah, come over here, you nasty fuck. And then there's your special. Right? Way easier.
But the thing is, Weinstein, I guess, doesn't, he doesn't play that game. He's like, oh, you gotta suck my dick, okay? Right? You want the movie? Okay, I'll give you a $10 million budget if you let me fondle you. I'll give you a $20 million budget if you suck my dick. I'll give you a $30 million budget if you swallow. It should be like that. It should be like a menu. You should check off the things you're going to do. We need a little humor, sorry. Okay, back to the deadly serious Open Secret. I really I did like the movie for what it revealed as far as the actual information. I didn't like some of the more close-up profiles of some of these kids because they weren't quite specific about what it was. One kid who they make like a test case of basically had drank himself into having like some kind of a stroke and then losing blood flow for a significant amount of time, so much so that he's now in a wheelchair. And it's the story of that is a little fuzzy for me. I feel like okay, I have to put two and two together and assume that he developed a drinking problem to cope with the fact that he was being molested.
Right.
But the thing is, I want to know why his friends didn't step in and intervene if this was happening in front of them, which I assume it was because we tend to notice things about our friend. Why step in it to put that bottle down? Let's talk. Right. If you're drinking so much that you're going to give yourself a stroke from not drinking, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of drinking.
Yeah, that's a good bit of drinking, and I've had a few drinks in my lifetime, and I've never gone to that level.
I've drank myself silly, and I just, but the thing, obviously, this is something that was really terrible. I also want to bring up that today, me and Bronwyn watched Return of the Living Dead.
Return of the Living Dead. Oh yeah, cool.
You remember that? Directed by Dan O'Bannon.
By Dan O'Bannon, yeah.
And one of the people in the cast is a man named Brian Peck. Brian Peck is profiled in the movie.
Brian Peck, that guy's a pile of shit. That guy's a fucking convict, isn't he? And he still works.
He is a registered fucking sex offender. He molested some kid. He is working at Nickelodeon.
Yep.
And he is a personal friend of Bryan Singer, the filmmaker, in which the movie doesn't go quite to connecting Singer. It doesn't really go that far in alleging that he was involved.
Close enough.
It goes to the fact that Singer was a major contributor or a major investor in Den, as was who else? David Geffen.
Yeah.
And that dude from Ariana Huffington's ex-husband, who's gay.
Yeah.
At this party, there were lots of drugs available, and there were many young teenage boys, ages 14, 15 there. Some of the big studio people were there, including Garth Ancier and Randall Kleiser. The party, with so many teenage boys and no women, not even the caterers, had made me feel uncomfortable.
They would find the good-looking ones that they wanted in their shows and then prey upon them. I don't remember his name, but the one kid that was in Royal Standard, he was a younger kid, even younger than me at the time. And I remember once Mark had been at the auditions, they would go to the auditions and so forth to try to pick the ones that they wanted. And I remember the one younger kid, blonde-haired kid, I don't remember what his name was, but I remember Mark going right after him.
Oh, Michael. Okay, it's Michael Huffington. Now, and he put up a lot of money into this whole thing. Do you think they really gathered around the table under one light and said, yeah, we're going to start a network and we're going to molest children? I mean, do you think that's how that goes, or was it something that blossomed organically, the whole molestation of children? Yeah. I mean, Huffington Post was also co-founded by Andrew Breitbart, who was not a lefty. He was somebody else.
What was co-founded by Andrew Breitbart?
The Huffington Post.
Oh, yeah. But that's because the Huffington Post wasn't always the Huffington Post as we know it today.
The HuffPo.
Yeah.
It was something else. It was meant to be... Yeah, actually, that's true.
Ariana Huffington was a Republican-leaning, type. So was Michael Huffington.
Well, maybe libertarian.
Maybe. But, and then, that was her excuse for a while, and then she just went full-on leftist, after Michael died.
Yeah, I guess. So, and then also, I believe, the film director Randall Kleiser, who I just mentioned before, he directed Grease, and he's also kind of
and he directs Honey, I Shrunk the Kids sequel or something too. Yeah, he's directed a few things.
I know he directed Blue Lagoon, and he directed Summer Lovers, and he's not a heterosexual. He is a homosexual filmmaker, and that shouldn't really affect it or anything. But his camera really does love the young men, as I mentioned that from Summer Lovers. But so this network starts. I mean, my question was, do you think the molestation developed organically?
I don't think that they look at it as molestation.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. That's a good point. They do not. They actually do not.
They don't see it that way, so that they don't. To them, they're not planning anything nefarious. They are, because they get off on that, but they're not like they see it as, I don't know. You know, I look, I grew up in the opera world, and it was just like a known thing that, like, you know, this guy likes kids. Oh, you better keep Andrew away from you know, that guy, or you don't worry about this guy because he likes little black kids, so Andrew's safe. You know, that was
really,
the
I
kind
mean,
of
was
shit
that
I grew up with, and like,
but
you don't realize,
were they being serious when they said that?
Yeah, that was
they were
no
serious
bullshit.
when you might want to keep your kid away from this guy because he's into little boys. This would be unacceptable to me.
You think? Like, but no, that was like normal, and that was like what that was like a normal part of the world. That's why like I find it difficult to believe that when people pretend that Harvey Weinstein's, you know, goings on are somehow like they're shocked by it. Like I that doesn't shock me, because I know
where children are concerned, though. I feel like we have a different
set
of priorities.
All I'm saying is, you know, as a kid, I was aware of these things. I heard these things were said in front of me, and I was fully aware of what they were talking about. And I, you know, that was the world I grew up in, and I was like it was always sort of normal that kind of stuff goes on. I mean, it was never a part of my life, but like it was part of my life. It was around me, in the periphery around me, and you know, you're aware of who those guys are, like these powerful guys that want to go after kids. Like they're there, and it's not until you move away from it and really get away from it that you realize how fucked up that is. But when it's normal to you, because it's just all around, and I think it was sort of normal to my parents even, because like it just was the way the business was.
But it shouldn't be.
No, I agree that it shouldn't be. I'm not apologizing for it. I'm just saying, you know, how it feels when you're in it, you know?
It's weird. It's wrong. It's like I said, I had mixed feelings about the Disney Channel, and the thing is, I
have no mixed feelings about the Disney Channel and Nickelodeon. They need to go down hard and not in the way.
Ooh, that's a poor choice of words right there. Going down.
Have you heard about this guy? The guy who played. There's all these rumors going around on the internet about the guy who played Ricky in fucking Better Off Dead. The guy from Head of the Class, Dennis from Head of the Class. His name is Dan Schneider, and he is a big producer of TV shows on Nickelodeon. There are some rumors going around. This guy apparently likes young girls.
He's into young ladies.
Young.
Nothing here about allegations or anything.
Well, you'll find it if you look. You may not find it on page 1 of Google, but trust me, you'll find it. There's a lot of allegations about Dan Schneider. So I forget where I was going with this, but there's
something about Disney or something. Or
all of these shows and all of these shows, they drive me crazy. I can't watch them. They make me sick. They're like literally porn for pedophiles. And it just makes me sick.
It's, I guess, if you look at it that way, but also we have to remember that because Hollywood is television and movies, it's going to be young, attractive people. I mean, it's like very hard to find ugly people when you turn on your television anymore. I mean, like,
but it's not just that. It's like
you're going to find a character
scenes
actor
where like they shoot lotion on each other and stuff like that. Like I mean, like they're
the sexual innuendo and stuff like that.
Yeah, and there's
it's tough. I mean, because they want to put these people in things because people would more. They assume, I guess, that audiences are more likely to watch this programming if it has young, good-looking people. Right. They're not going to want to watch ugly people or something like that. I don't know what it was, but there is. Okay, this is an entire industry now.
Double Dare and stuff like that. That was. I mean, there was nothing. There was none of that crap. Like there was none of that crap and the stuff that I grew up watching on Nickelodeon. None of it. You can't do that on television. Didn't have anything in there that was questionable or
yeah.
I mean, true. You know, like these.
Well, there's so much of an industry now. Have you seen it? I mean, like all these young people that are going to California. It's an industry. It's so much an industry that SAG has its child actors division and everything, which isn't great. And you
take them all.
And you have so many channels and you have so much content now. And now they're competing with everybody for content. And they're losing most of the time, but they're trying to to get as many young people into acting. Back in the old days when we were kids, I'm going to say in the old days, back when we were kids, we didn't really have that kind of programming. You know, we watched shows on television. If we had like network television was pretty much all you had. You did have Nickelodeon, but they didn't have that much in the way of original programming, mostly in the mornings or something like that. But it was a different time, and it was less. I don't want to sound like an old fuddy-duddy conservative asshole or something like that, but it was a more innocent time.
Well,
You know,
I long to go
just a more
back to the
innocent
more
time.
innocent times where I don't have to like where seriously like it's not a bunch of little like prize twinks for some producer like flitting around my screen with a bunch of chicks that are going to be, you know, glassy-eyed and damaged in 2 years because Dan Schneider, you know, got knocked them up.
I know.
Like I watching that bothers me. Like I like looking at it bothers me. I don't know.
It only bothers me because I sense the hypocrisy in myself, because I'm bitching about this shit. And then I look at our iCarly and I'm like, oh shit, that chick's hot. I mean, it's like ridiculous looking at her. She's a good-looking girl, actually, and they're all good-looking girls. I mean, it's just like these beautiful girls, and they're trained by their parents, their stage parents and stuff. And they you know, I mean, it's kind of like the Roman Polanski thing. Roman Polanski sodomized a 13-year-old girl, but the thing is, I'm thinking about that, but I'm also thinking about this girl's mother.
Yeah.
Why does she put her daughter in that situation with that guy?
Well, there's all kinds of stories about that too, with these parents that feed their children basically to these predators.
Yes.
For money, for power, for fame, for drugs. I mean, for any number of reasons.
This is why Corey Feldman emancipated himself from his parents, because they were trying to do that with him.
Right.
You know? I mean, it's just.
Can you imagine? I mean, they're just such these lost souls that end up in this cesspool. How anybody wants to work in that environment, I really don't know. I don't even like knowing that it exists on the same planet. You know, I much less going to work every day and trying to make it in that industry with those people.
It's I was really disturbed a few years back. You know my daughter. My daughter is a very, very beautiful young lady. She's blossoming into a beautiful young lady, and people were always like, you should get her into modeling. You should get her into modeling. She'll make a lot of money. And I start looking into this, and again, it's a big modeling is the huge entertainment industry in New York City.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm looking at all this stuff, and I'm looking at tips and facts and what to do, and a lot of it is really kind of hypersexualized.
Oh yeah.
And I could never do that to my daughter. I can never do that to her. So I cut it out right away. I decided not to do that.
Did you ever watch any of these beauty pageant things?
Yeah, toddlers and tiaras and stuff.
The sexualized crap they do to these little girls, man. Fuck. Come on. How sick are these people?
Yes, I know.
I don't know.
So
Maybe I am old.
I
mean, I don't know. I can't flow with that kind of crap. I'm sorry.
Hallelujah! Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
All right. Let's wrap it up, shall we?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is depressing. I don't want to talk about this
I know.
anymore.
All this shit is depressing. It's a depressing show.
I want to get back to movies, man. I want to get back to fake exploitation, not real exploitation.
Yeah, thank you.
So next time, what are we doing? Anna Nicole Smith? Are we doing...
I don't know. We'll talk.
Do you have a clue?
I don't know. I haven't done Anna Nicole Smith yet. I haven't watched that stuff, but I was totally ready to go on fucking Death Wish. I watched all the Charles Bronson Death Wishes.
All right, what I want to do is we can talk. Remember, we had a plan. We were going to talk about the 5 original Death Wish movies to tie in with this new, with the new one. So we'll do the 5 Death Wish movies, and we'll hold it to the side until March, and then we'll do something when this fucking movie actually comes out.
I know, what the fuck, man.
But I do want to do Anna Nicole.
Anna Nicole. I gotta find that.
Because that is true smut, and it's great. Thanks for tuning in, and I apologize that we're not really talking about movies, but this is kind of like a big story. So we know it's exploitation, as it were. This is extreme cinema.
Yeah.
This is the kind of cinema that you're going to need a shower when you're done.
Yeah, really.
Just make sure nobody's watching.
Don't touch any potted plants around here.
Good night.
Norton, my friend, how would you like to fuck me up the ass?
New boy in the neighborhood lives downstairs and it's understood. He's there just to take good care of me, like he's one of the family. Charles in charge of our days and our nights. Charles in charge of our wrongs and our rights. And I see I want Charles in charge of me. Charles in charge of our days and our nights. Charles in charge of our wrongs and our rights. And I see I want Charles in charge of me.
You have been listening to Extreme Cinema with Andrew Ganke and David Lawler.